Hello. Welcome back to playing almost every extreme sports game ever made. We've somehow made it to the end of this series. Today's the final round of games from the last, 10 years or so. Many of these games I'm going to play today are actually great, and some are still getting updates, which is pretty cool. Let's get into it with Descenders from 2018. I think I had played this a little bit and kind of bounced off it just because I think it's more of a racing game than anything else. That's fine for what it is, but it's kind of like a randomly generated course thing, and I don't know. It does feel a little similar to Riders Republic, which I'm going to play in a bit here. Yeah, so I think in this, most of the levels are procedurally generated, so they're just kind of built on the fly for when you want to ride them, which kind of has the effect of, because it's not like handmade and like you're clearly just interacting with different elements that are kind of plopped along a track. I'm going to crank it all up just to see what happens here. Like I said, I kind of bounced off this when I played it the first time, just from this maybe wasn't really what I'm looking for. They are making a new Descenders. It's called Descenders Next, which I think is like also snowboarding and skiing and stuff, which again, very similar to Riders Republic in that way. I was like, that's cool. I'll absolutely check that out whenever that comes out. Not to harp on it, but like this track was with all the settings turned up and it was still kind of boring. Tricks. Left bumper, right stick. Let's see what happens. Cool. All right. It's fine. I'm glad they're making a new game. I'll definitely check that out. Skater XL from 2018. So I spent a lot of time with Skater XL when it came out. I think it was kind of coming out at around the same time as Session, which I'll play in a bit. But this was maybe the first one to feel like it was a really good, spiritual successor to the skate games. Skater XL and Session, I think, both do the thing where the left and right stick map to your left and right feet. So the left stick is your front foot. You pull down on the left stick, and then you flick left to do a kick flip, which is, again, kind of an extension off of, the way skate handled it all with one stick. There's a bunch of official maps, but then also pretty good, like, community maps that people have made, and it's like they kind of leaned into the idea that people want to make some interesting maps that are a specific spot or whatever it is, which kind of added to it, because otherwise, a lot of games you're kind of hamstrung by how many maps they can make with a small team, and so was always a kind of a cool piece of a Skater XL. Both this and Session have really struggled with the concept of grabs. I think Session, Session had grabs like in an experimental tab. It was like, I get it. Like, I'm sure it's extremely hard to figure out grabs, but it's just, it's funny that both of these games are just like, man, I don't know. It's also pretty cool that the best map in the game, which is this one, is just from the community. The original game only had 5 maps, which again, it takes a lot of time to make maps, but it's cool that this one, just some community map, is, one of the best things in the game. Pretty good. I think, these indie games that are kind of coming after Skate, or kind of filling in the gap of while Skate was absent for so long, I think it's really cool. And I think they did a great job of kind of like being what people wanted out of skateboarding games. Lonely Mountains Downhill from 2019. This game, immediately, like, you saw some clips of it, and it was just, oh, that looks great. I would like to play that. Definitely takes some getting used to when the camera is kind of in a sort of fixed position, because you're, like, steering, again, kind of camera relative, if that makes sense. But this is another game where this did pretty well, and they are making a sequel that is skiing. I'm very much looking forward to more of this. Because the cool thing too is, like, there is like this course I'm on, but if you kind of know where you're going, you can skip a little bit, and there's definitely shortcuts and jumps. Like, I probably could have jumped that if I were going fast enough, but I find this game to be very relaxing. Obviously, you can die a lot, but for the most part, you're just cruising and maybe hitting a jump, and you're in some beautiful mountain, and I really appreciate that. This is another perfect Steam Deck game. Not to harp on Descenders, but like this is authored, right? This is a mountain that they designed where all the stuff is, put in little shortcuts, and it feels like interesting and tailor-made for what this game is good at and like the strengths of it, instead of just like, they probably could have done this in a way where it is randomly generating a mountain. The core of it is playing an authored thing that is fun and well considered. This game is so good. I love it. I'm having a great time, even if we're just kind of stopping by to check this out. This is a later DLC. Ooh, uh-oh. Well. Crap. Come on. I had that. There's more. Oh, there we go. All right. What a game. Very much looking forward to Lonely Mountains Snow Riders, the skiing version of this, whenever that comes out. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 from 2020. I think right off the jump here, they know exactly who this is for. So good. Like, so this came out in 2020, and I don't really know what to say other than it's perfect. They did a great job, and it's all I wanted out of a remake. The other interesting thing that they did with 1+2 is they added all the modern controls, so you can kind of play through all the original games, but with all of the muscle memory things you're used to. Reverting into a manual and doing all that stuff. You can just immediately hop in and everything behaves exactly as you expect it to. It's a bummer, like right after this came out, Vicarious Visions, the people that developed this, were shut down like right after this came out. So team that obviously did an incredible job on this was scattered to the wind. There's just something so like satisfying about playing a modern 4K 120 like incredible version of this game. This remaster is amazing, and I think it's kind of everything I would have wanted out of a remaster or a remake, really. Riders Republic from 2021. So Riders Republic is from the team that made Steep, but it is even more sports. I think it was more kind of like mountain biking first, and then also skiing and snowboarding and jetpacks. One of the interesting things about this is that the map is basically a lot of the like national parks kind of smashed together. There's Arches National Park here. This is Zion. This is Bryce Canyon. This is Yosemite over here. Grand Tetons is kind of smashed along the top here. But the idea is you can kind of do basically every sport, but just wherever it makes the most sense. So starting where I am here in Sequoia, I guess, I can hop onto a bike. I had a lot of fun with this when it came out, just because it is like what if we just put everything in one place and it's all gonna feel pretty good. But like the sense of speed is great, and I think a lot of this comes from Steep. Like Steep had it figured out. That game felt really good, and this just kind of layers on tons of other crap. I think the effect of this extremely maximalist approach here is that it does kind of feel like all the tricks are kind of pointless. You're just doing 1440s all the time, and it's pretty goofy. Let's fly over to El Capitan. Why not? Here we are. Pop on a mountain bike, and here we go. I'm gonna land this. Oh, well. No problem. It's a cool game. I had a lot of fun with it when it came out, and they kept adding a bunch of cool stuff. They added skateboarding and BMX, and some of that stuff doesn't super work, again, because it's just so over the top, and it's just like there's so much stuff that it's interesting, and it's kind of cool for what it is. Session from 2022. Session was the other kind of skate successor that kind of came out around the same time. I backed this on Kickstarter in 2017, and it came out in 2022, but is kind of like a early access thing for a while. But I think this one was kind of always my favorite of the between this and Skater XL. I always kind of liked this more. I think it just something about the feel of it, and the animation's really good too. But it runs great, looks good, and I think like of these, this one's trying to shoot a little bit more for realism, even though it's still a little goofy. Kind of always felt to me like they got closer to the right feeling of like everything feels pretty weighty. I think it was like I mentioned when we were talking about Skater XL, this game had grabs like on and off throughout its development, and I think they're officially not in the game now. A lot of these games also really struggle with vert areas. Like there's a little quarter pipe over here, and it kind of just doesn't really know what to do. Like you can come over here and do a trick on it, but you're still kind of just going past it. So it's like, even if there are places that have bigger quarter pipes, it's not what this game excels at, and that's totally fine. Does excel at is just like the 2-stick trick system where you go forward to do like nollie tricks. Could just be because I've spent more time with this, but this game I feel like the most comfortable with. But yeah, there's some pretty cool spots. Like I think in a perfect world for me, I think I would like the style of Session, but with more maps, like more skate park. That's just the nature of it. I think a lot of people that play these are into it for like, oh, this is a super interesting like spot that I want to try to get footage of me doing something really technical in this interesting location, where it's kind of like not really the focus that I ever have in these games. So here's the other half of this problem is here's an entire skate park, right? This is a real, I assume modeled after a real skate park in Philly, but this game does not really handle transition very well. And so even though it's got all this really interesting stuff, it always feels a little cramped or, kind of stilted. I don't know. It's a hard balance, right? I don't even really know what I'm asking for, I guess. But even if this, like a park like this doesn't super work, there is a lot that I really enjoy in this game, and I still come back to just because the fundamentals of it are so interesting and feel good. To me, that's a win. Like, yeah, I backed this on Kickstarter a lifetime ago, but it's still cool. Shredders from 2022. So it is winter now, and I have been playing a lot of Shredders because it is my favorite snowboarding game that has kind of come out recently, and they just updated it or added a whole new section to the map like a couple weeks ago, which is pretty cool. Shredders is definitely in the kind of lineage of modern extreme sports games made by a small team that are like surprisingly great. Like it came out a couple years ago, and you could kind of tell immediately like they spent a lot of time on this, and even as a small team, what they pulled off is just like exceptional, honestly. And so like I've been having a lot of fun coming back to it just because I've been getting excited about snowboarding. And one of the really kind of funny things about this game is that when this came out, I saw this post where the original developer had posted on the Unity forums, like the game engine, that he had like, I think it's some question about Unity or something. And he's like, oh, I'm trying to make a snowboarding game. And it was 13 years ago. And then he went and updated his post like, hey, I think turned out pretty good. I just updated, something. Sometimes a game like this in a very small team, it just takes a long time. And I can absolutely appreciate that because you can tell they cared about it and they're really proud of it. And I don't know, I appreciate that. It's also really good, which probably helps a lot, but I like that we've made it this far into this where I just get to gush about the games that I am into and really enjoy, because that's secretly why I wanted to do this, is just to be able to talk about the stuff that I like and, talk about why I like them. Because I think to an outside observer, you could look at all these and be like, well, it's another snowboarding game. But it's like, yeah, but this one has, the feel and the speed feels really good. You can do butters and like really expressive things that look and feel really fun to play. And it's like, that's meaningful. That's kind of why I play these and why I was so excited when this came out, just because it was like, You can tell a lot of effort went into making this, and it's effort that I really appreciate. Not to mention the soundtrack. The soundtrack of this game is so good. I still listen to it often. The musician's name is Jennifer. It's just, I think what gets me excited about games like this is thinking about like Cool Borders 2001, which was just such a boring, stale thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, that sucked. But then 20 years later, you get an incredible game like this. That's why I play all of these, because sometimes they're really good. Well, that brings us up to today, basically. There's a lot of really great stuff out there. Just want to take another minute to kind of check out the stats of everything I played. Turns out, over the course of 11 videos, I played 85 games. And so here's the giant spreadsheet of everything kind of broken up into the groups that they ended up in. I think, you know, it's interesting to see like primarily snowboarding and skateboarding games, 2 inline skating games, which is kind of funny. But yeah, like over time, like I showed this in one of the videos, but like most of them were right in that area of, you know, 98 to 2003. There was just a ton of stuff. And then just kind of from then on, there was maybe 1 or 2 every year, or only recently have there been a handful of really good, you know, modern games that have been exciting. I feel like on the whole, a lot of these games were above average. There were, you know, some 2 extremes out there. That's fine. Most of them were pretty solid. Like they were games that I like, even if they, you know, were kind of flawed in some way. So I had a lot of fun doing this, and I'll probably try to figure out some other way to make videos about either extreme sports games or just other games that I'm into, just because making videos is pretty fun. So thanks for sticking around. We'll see you next time.